I bet somewhere in your favorite storage place, you've got some of these hiding. So you can see, I've got quite a few of these hiding out, memories from my childhood. And I wondered, would there be a way to capture all of these and take them for a ride on our motorcycle? I remember when this one came out. You can use a Mac or a PC to rip CDs. Either one will work. When you format your USB drive, it needs to be FAT or exFAT. If it's a larger drive, they'll use the exFAT format. I'll show you how to do it on both. So unless you have a really old computer with a built-in CD or DVD drive, you're going to need to obtain one, maybe an external one like this one. These are available on Amazon in many different flavors. So they connect via USB to your computer. Most of them come USB-A, some include an A to C adapter, but if not, you'll need an A to C adapter. And if you're an owner of one of these new bikes, you probably already got one. So the big difference is there's a USB 3 version and a USB 2 version. Well, technically 3 is much faster than 2. And if you look at the ads on them, it'll show that the 3 is way faster than a 2. But in our case, we're just reading data. We're not writing data, so we're not burning data to a CD, we're just reading from it. And I found that when you're reading, the USB flavor doesn't really impact performance at all. So the 2.0 version versus the 3.0 version records the song back to your computer in the same amount of time. There's no speed gain. So really not a concern here. I'll put a link to the description of the one I'm using in this video if you'd like to check it out. So I'm going to start with a Windows machine. And on a Windows device, you have the built-in Windows Media Player. So I have that open here, and I've inserted my CD. You can see the album is showing up. At this point, I can rip this to my library, and then from there, I can copy it from my library to a thumb drive so we can use it on our motorcycle. So you have all the songs selected here, so you could simply start ripping this and record all of them, so using the rip CD. There's a rip CD settings here. If we click on that, we can look at the format and the audio quality. Now, MP3 is going to be your most compatible format. So if you intend to use this thumb drive over time with other devices, MP3 is going to be the most compatible option with another automobile or maybe a future Harley-Davidson software upgrade. So I highly recommend MP3 for this use. So the audio quality is up to you. The more quality you add, the bigger the file size is going to be. For my use, I intend to use this only on my motorcycle. So frankly, audio quality is not that important on a motorcycle. So I'm going to opt for the 128K. But you can make this decision. You can go anywhere the software will let you. Just know it will take longer to record and take up more space on your thumb drive. Okay, so with our songs selected, we can say rip CD and it'll begin to record those to the library. For this demo, I'm going to start with just one song. So I'm going to deselect them all and just pick the first song, and then we will hit rip CD. Since I only have one song selected, that's the only one that's going to burn to the computer. So you could go through and just pick your favorite songs instead of grabbing the whole CD. So we can see here that it shows that it's ripping, and this will take about a minute, a little bit over a minute to complete for this song anyway. All songs vary in length. So the time it takes to rip a CD will vary. So now that we have our song ripped to our library on our computer, we need to transfer it to a thumb drive. And I would imagine any of your thumb drives are going to work. The big thing here is we're just reading music, so we're not too worried about performance. Most modern ones that are USB-C are about 400 megabits read. I would bet you can go a lot slower and still have success. I think where you may run into issues with the size of your drive. You can buy these really large now. You can buy half a terabyte, fairly inexpensive, or even a terabyte. But if you get that many songs on such a large volume, I think your infotainment system is really going to struggle to index that many files. And I bet you're going to struggle with speed and performance in trying to play songs. So I would imagine really a smaller one is better. Now songs are pretty small. So even on a 128 gig or 64 gig, you're going to get several thousand songs before you fill it up. Now, you can use a USB-A version. You'll just need an A to C adapter to put it in on your bike. That's fine. Or you can get a USB-C version. This one's 128 gig. It's a Samsung. I've had really good luck with it. I used it for the software updates on the bike with out issue. I'll put a link in the description of this one. It's really small. I think this is a good choice. So with our song now ripped to our library, we'll want to move it from the computer to a thumb drive. So we'll bring our volume forward, and you can see I have some MP3 files already listed here. You can put them straight on the root of your thumb drive and your bike will find them. But you can also have them stored in folders. In fact, if you opt to rip the entire CD, the software will make a folder after the name of the album and put the songs inside of that. Either way will work. So they can be in folders or not in folders, your bike will find them. So ideally, we'd be able to take the song and just drag it over. But unfortunately, Windows Media Player just won't let you do that. So if we right-click on the song, there is an open file location. And that will bring a new window forward, and we can see here's the song in .mp3 format. And now I can drag it over to the thumb drive. And once it's copied over, if I put that thumb drive in the bike, the song will be there and we can play it. So going through this process on a Mac is much the same. We used to use iTunes, and you may still have iTunes on your Mac, which is fine to use. But iTunes has been replaced by Apple Music, which is a little bit of a different look, but it still works for ripping CDs and getting those MP3 files. So if we look at the Mac here, we have Apple Music open. I have my CD burner connected. And we can see that I can, again, check songs that I'd like to import or import the entire album. If I click the Import CD, I'm given a choice to choose my format. And again, MP3 is the most compatible. The AIFF is really the default for a Mac. So if you actually just open a CD on your Mac and then drag the songs over to a thumb drive, it will rip them over in the AIFF format. But you're going to find out that that won't show up on your bike. So again, the MP3 is the most compatible format here. So we can also choose our quality. And again, on a motorcycle, I'm really not concerned about quality. So I'm just going to go with good quality again, but you can make this choice for yourself. We'll say OK, and it will begin to rip that song to our library. So with our song now ripped to our library, we're ready to move it to a thumb drive. So I can't move it from this window. It's now in the library. So I have to go to the library. We'll go to recently added, and here's our recently added edition. So from here, you have a couple options. You could click this icon right here and download it. So this will put the file in your downloads folder. And then from there in the Finder, you could go move it from downloads over to your thumb drive. Another option, though, is to click the three dots and do Show in Finder. So with Show in Finder, we're presented with the window of where the file is. So here it is, Limelight MP3. I also have a Finder window open showing all my volumes. And here's our USB drive. So now I can simply drag that MP3 file over to my thumb drive, and it will copy it over. So with our MP3 files now on our thumb drive, we can connect that to the bike. So we'll plug it in, and eventually we'll see it connect on the screen, and it'll start playing. If we hit the left arrow button, it'll take us to the contents of the drive. If we click on songs, we can see that all of our songs are listed. When you play a song, you can choose to shuffle. So if we pick one of the songs to play, there's a shuffle button right here. You have to tap it with your finger though. There's no way to get to it with the controls on the bike. So your next question may be, what about playlists? Can you use playlists with a media drive? Well, actually you can. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it's possible. Playlists are really just text files. They're just a list of songs in the order you'd like to play them in. And they're fairly easy to create. Now, there's quite a few utilities out there to do this. On the Apple world, I found one called M3U Edit. It was, I think, $7. so I opted not to purchase it. In Windows, you can use VLC media player. That works well to create them. You can also create them with the Windows media player built in, but you're going to have to modify those files because as you drag the songs in, it's going to put in a path to the file, which is not going to be correct when we place the thumb drive in the bike. So you're going to have to modify those files. I really found that I could take a list and just create it with a text editor. So on the Windows world using Notepad, or on the Mac world using TextEdit. And that was just as effective. It's not as easy as dragging songs around, but it is not that difficult. And frankly, it's a little less work than trying to clean up a list that another program makes. But it's really up to you. You can go out there and take a look at the playlist editors. You may struggle to get the songs to show up or the list to show up on your bike. I tried many different list formats. I did find that PLS showed up, so .pls, and that's an easy format to work with, but I had a heck of a time trying to get it to see all the songs on the list. It would show the first one only, then it would show the first and second, but it wouldn't show the third, and I really couldn't find what in the format of the .pls it was looking for. It just didn't work consistently, so I gave up on that. So the other common list format is .m3u. And this is the most common and most widely used, and it does work with the Harley Davidson. So that's what I ended up going with. There are several others out there, but I only had luck really with the .m3u. So currently we're on my Mac, and this is the thumb drive that I've been playing with. So I've added a bunch of MP3 files here to the root, and then to simulate recording a whole album, I put a folder here of Rush, and then the album name, Moving Pictures, and then I put a couple songs in here. Because when you create a playlist, you're going to have to deal with the pathing. So if you keep all your songs on the root, it makes it really easy. But if you're going to burn albums, you may want to group those songs by album or even by artist. So if you do that, you're going to have to deal with this pathing in your playlist. So let's take a look at our playlist. So here's my playlist, M3U playlist.m3u. So this is just a text file, but I changed the extension to .m3u after I created it. And this allows this file to show up on the bike. So if we right click on this, we can do open with, and then we'll do text edit. So here is our file, and we can make it a little bigger so it's easier to read. And this is my current playlist. So I have 3 songs on the list. So the playlist starts with the hashtag EXTM3U. This tells the computer that this is a playlist. The next part is the first information about the first song on your list. So it starts with EXT and then INF for info, colon, and then 0 is the length of the song. So you can go out there and figure out the lengths of the song in seconds and put that number in here. And then comma would be the artist, hyphen, and then the name of the song. So this is what will display on the screen. Now, I've had good luck just setting it to 0. So 0 tells the computer that this is just a stream. So it doesn't try to calculate the length of the song. But I find that the Harley system actually does, and it seems to work just fine. But if you have issues, you may need to figure out the length of the song in seconds and put that information here. So we'll stick with 0, comma, and then I'm going to go with the artist, and then a space, hyphen, space, and the name of the song, and then the .mp3 is just what type of file it is. So I can tell you this part of the file is just how it's going to show up on the screen. And what the Harley system does is it identifies the first part as the artist, and it leaves that off, and then it only displays this part, the name of the song. It leaves off the .mp3. So I've played with this, just typing whatever I wanted here instead of in this format, and I did have some issues. So sometimes it wouldn't display correctly or the song wouldn't show up at all. I'm not really sure why, what's in this part after the comma really shouldn't matter. I should be able to type anything I want in here and have it work. But I found over time that this seemed to make it happy, so I followed this format. So the artist space hyphen space, name of the song, and I included the .mp3, but the bike will not display that. Now the next line is the critical line. So this has to be the exact name of the file as it is on your thumb drive. So if we look on my thumb drive here, we can see the first file is 01 space Tom space Sawyer.mp3. So it's right on the root of the drive, so we're just going to put the name of the file there. Now with our next example, the next Rush song, so again I'm going to use 0, and the 02 here is actually that the track is number 2. And I don't really need that, so I can actually delete that, and we'll just have the artist and the hyphen and then the name of the song, MP3. So just like above. The name of the file has an 02 in it, so that's how that got put there when I originally created this list using one of the utilities. But I don't need that, so we'll change it here. But in this case, we have the song in a folder structure. So we're going to start with the first folder name. Notice I don't have a backslash here. I found that I don't need to specify that. So it's the name of the first folder, which is the Rush folder, then a backslash, the name of the next folder, including any spaces, and then another hyphen, and then the name of the song. So if we look here, we have Rush, Moving Pictures, and then it's 02 space red space Barchetta.mp3. So that's exactly how I have it typed here. If you have any errors here, the song will not show up. All right, for our last song here, you can see I've got the artist and the name of the song, and then this song is on the root. So I have just the exact name of the file. So if we look here, this is the exact name of that file. If I want to add one, so we can add ext.inf, and then we'll do 0 for streaming, so don't calculate the length of the song in seconds. And then we'll look on the root here. So let's pick one of the songs. So let's use this song here. So Dan Hennig, and then we'll do space hyphen, so he's the artist. The name of the song is Danger Snow, and it has an MP3 in the end. I really don't think you need that, but I had some issues, so I decided to keep it consistent. It seems to work this way. So we'll put the exact name of the file in here, and we'll do Danger Snow.mp3. So this must match exactly, otherwise the song won't show up. So we'll go up to File, and we'll save this, and we'll close it, and we now can eject that from the computer and take it over to the bike. Let's see what we've got. So we're back at the bike, and we have our USB media drive connected. So I'm going to press the left arrow to go to search. We'll go down to playlist. And from playlist, you can see here's our playlist, M3U playlist. And if I pick that, we can see the first 3 songs were there that were originally there, but my additional song is not listed. Why would that be? If we go back to our playlist and take a look, so we'll right click on it and we'll do open with text edit. Here is our list. Again, we'll make it bigger so that we can see it. And we can see here, if I look at the file name, it has to be exact. And if we look over here, you can see that it's Dan Hennig, but I typed Den Hennig. So that simple typo is the reason this song doesn't show up on the list. So if we correct that and then save it, I bet it'll now show up on the bike. But this is the challenge with making these playlists. So we'll go back to our USB media. We'll go the left button to find. We'll go down to playlist, and then we'll pick our M3U playlist. And now our song shows up. With the typo corrected, it now wants to display, and we can click on it to play it. I wish I could say it's really that easy. The only issue you're going to have is when you have a typo in the song name. But that's not the case. In developing this video, I ran into all kinds of issues. I ran into issues where the playlist wouldn't show up at all, and then I had issues where additional songs didn't show up, or I even had a song that would only play the first 5 seconds of the song, and then it would advance. I don't know why. Eventually, after just leaving the bike off overnight, and then I tried it the next morning, that song suddenly started working. It was recorded the whole length and it looked right on the thumb drive, but it was only playing the first 5 seconds. So quite a few issues. But I will say, here's some of the thoughts of if you run into issues. If your changes to your playlist will not show up, make sure your information is correct. But you may also try renaming your playlist. So just change the name of the file, and then it may show up on your bike. I've had some success with that. If you still struggle with it, I've tried deleting the files and folders that the Skyline OS creates. So just delete those files and folders, and that may help with your playlist showing up correctly on the bike. I will say, if you are using a Mac to edit your playlist, it does create some hidden files and folders using the Mac operating system. The Mac operating system is based on Unix, and Unix creates a different file structure, and Apple really just hides these so they don't confuse you. But they're there. And there's a particular habit that the Mac has where it'll create a file called ._ in the name of your file when you're editing it. You won't see this unless you list the directory in the terminal window. But those can create issues with the Skyline OS. Not always, but sometimes I've run into this. And really I found it was easier just to put the thumb drive in a Windows machine and go delete those ._ files. Otherwise, on a Mac, you're going to have to use Unix commands in the terminal window, and you're going to have to use the rm command to remove those files. It's a bit tricky. It might be easier just to format the drive and copy the MP3 files back over and recreate the playlist. But it's tricky on a Mac for sure. I'm definitely not discouraging you from trying it, however. I did have success, and I have a working playlist, and it's pretty nice to have. But don't get frustrated with it. Just reach out to me. I'll put my email here. You're welcome to reach out with questions. I'm always happy to help. I'll also put a sample file in the description so you can get something to get started with. So give it a try. So making good use of that CD collection and putting them on a thumb drive and taking them for a ride on your bike, it is possible. Why on earth would you opt to do this though? Everyone would say, well, I'll just use my phone. Well, it's true, you can stream through your phone, and many of you have unlimited data plans, so you're not paying for that extra streaming. But once you go out of the metro area, you may be struggling to stream. So then you say, okay, no big deal, I'll just download the songs to my phone. If you've got space on your phone, you can store thousands of songs on your phone and play them right off your phone. And this is true. But you still have a Bluetooth connection from your phone to the bike, and your phone has to be powered. So if you're going to be riding all day on a long trip, you still got to deal with the phone. Now, you may be doing that anyway because you're using it for navigation. But why deal with the Bluetooth issues when you can put all the files on the thumb drive and put it in directly into the bike and not have to worry about any real technology? So this is frankly a neat option and something I'd forgotten about until you guys mentioned it. And so I hope if you have not done this before, you'll give it a try. Again, if you found this information useful, I hope you'll go share it with someone else. We're growing subscribers every day, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you join us for the journey. But until next time, in the friction zone.